What would you do if you are told that there is no tomorrow? Tomorrow is not going to come. This is it. This is the last day of your life. And if you can be convinced about it, it has come from a place where it's undeniable. You know that this is it. There is no tomorrow. Will you continue to do all the things you're doing? Will you talk about your responsibilities? Will you talk about your duties? Will you talk about your obsessions? No, something will break, something will snap. Because this is it. This is the last day. Something changes. When you come to the doorstep of this understanding that there is no tomorrow, it is an illusion of the mind. All my duties, all my responsibilities, all my desiring, all my chasing, it belongs to the realm of tomorrow. It has nothing to do with the now. Then the inquiry begins. Now, therefore, the inquiry into Brahman. Because it is understood, at least intellectually, that you've just been a part of a game. A game that knows no ending, that has nothing real to offer. More than a game, it's a trick. Because Brahman is the source of the scriptures. Also, the reason is given as to why you need to begin your inquiry now. Because it is the beginning of all scriptures. The profundity of this statement has to be understood. It is the beginning of language. It is the beginning of all the scriptures. It's the starting point. What does this mean? It means if you remove all the scriptures, if you removed language, just say the world wakes up tomorrow and for some reason it has forgotten language. It's been wiped out from its memory. What will happen? There are no words. If there are no words, there are no ideas. There would be no difference whatsoever between us and all the other animals. No difference whatsoever. What is it that separates us from everything else? What defines the human journey? If not for language. And what is this language? Is it just to amuse ourselves? Is it just to live as differently as possible from other creatures of existence? Or is there a starting point to this language from where everything has descended? Here, the starting point is truth. The starting point is the source, is Brahman. And now what is this Brahman? It is the ultimate nature of reality. Different cultures have called it by different names. Hindus called it Brahman. Lao Tzu referred to it as Tao. He simply called it Tao. Tao is the beginning, it is the ending. It is the only thing that actually is. Everything else is happening within the Tao. Lao Tzu says, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. There is a word, but he's saying, don't be attached to the word. It is just our way of recognizing this something which is not a part of our daily conversations. You don't wake up in the morning thinking about Brahman, thinking about Tao. But that's the only thing real. You wake up to your own world of thoughts and dreams. There is a nameless, there is a formless, something you cannot talk about, you cannot think about, something that cannot be turned into a concept, an idea. Because all concepts, all ideas belong to the realm of the mind, belong to the realm of the language. Beyond all words is the source of words. Beyond language is the source of language, the purpose of language. And Brahman is the source of the scriptures, hence it is the ultimate thing, the only thing that exists. Because our world is a manifestation of ideas. We wake up in a world of ideas. Even what we recognize as nature, natural, trees, birds, sky, earth, what are these if not for words? If you remove all words, how would you experience this phenomenon called life? You will not see any separation between one thing and another. There won't be any conversation. What would it feel like to wake up in a world without language? You would not even be able to say I. Forget about referring to yourself as something. I am this, I am that. You don't have a name. Not even that, you don't even have a way of identifying you. Even that requires language. The simplest of words, the shortest of words, the sweetest of words is still a word, I. Take that away, how would you experience life? You cannot even conceptualize it. Because you cannot conceptualize reality. If there is no language, you don't disappear. Aliveness doesn't disappear. The light is not switched off. Consciousness is not removed. Something else is removed. Something else stays and becomes more real. To know this phenomenon, you have to move beyond words. You have to move beyond ideas. That is the purpose of the scriptures. Scriptures are ladders descending from the source. When you are introduced to language, you are always introduced to it at some lower level because that's where you are. You are introduced to it as an idea, as a concept. If you can hold on to those ideas and begin your inquiry and start climbing those steps, you will eventually get to that place where you don't need language, you don't need scriptures, you don't need words. So the purpose of language, the purpose of the scripture is to realize the Brahman. Lao Tzu called it Tao. In Buddhism, in the Heart Sutra, there's a beautiful word used to describe this Tao, this Brahman. It's called Shunyata. Shunyata means nothingness. It's nothing. It's not a thing. We only know things. Even our identity is attached to this something that we call the body, the mind. It's always a thing. The world is a thing for us. Many things put together. Think about it. Without this idea of a thing, you cannot understand what the world is. Earth, it's a thing. The sky, the stars. We don't know what the world is. We don't know what reality is. We just know all these things are there and they need a place to be, and that place is what we call world. You can see how mental this idea of the world is. The true nature of reality is a no thing. It's nothing. But that doesn't mean it is actually nothing. Now, here again, the problem is with language. The moment you say, well, if the ultimate nature of reality is nothing, how can you search for it? How can you long for it? How can you realize it? What is the purpose of all these scriptures? Why are you wasting your time and our time? Because it's written, it's nothing. Buddhists have been confused about this for a long time. This man comes along, talks about something he's realized after years of longing for it, searching for it, that has taken away his pain, that has taken away his suffering, that has filled him with the light of understanding of life. And he calls this realization Nirvana, nothingness, the end of all things. How do you understand this? Well, it's nothing compared to what you have accepted as something. It has a reality of its own that you cannot contemplate on, that you cannot think about. When you become that, when you get to that place, that is when you will know what that is. It is real. It exists. See, think about it. Even to say there is nothing, you need something. But it's not a thing. You need some transcendent phenomenon that is not physical to be able to contemplate on the existence of this nothingness. See, when I say nothing, what comes to your mind? An empty room? Well, yeah, the room is empty, but the room is there, so it cannot be nothing. Is it a dark place where there's no light, where there's nothing? What is nothing to the mind? For the mind, nothing is a blank space. Well, blankness is also something. Darkness is also something. Empty space is also something. The space is there. So you cannot even conceptualize this. That is why they say nothingness can only be experienced. When you experience nothingness, it becomes something. That is why it is called a state, the fourth state, beyond the mind, beyond thoughts, beyond dreaming. There is a reality that exists all by itself. The only thing that exists, even now, that is the only thing that is there. Everything else is a manifestation of your mind in collusion with language. So your challenge is to go beyond the world of words, world of ideas, of which everything is a part of. You are a part of that world of language. The world is a part of that world of language. Beyond that is the ultimate state of reality. In Kabbalah, it's called Ein Sof. The ultimate state of reality is Ein Sof. Now, this Ein Sof is not a positive word. It is not something. When everything is removed, the last thing that remains is Ein Sof. When all the false is removed, look at the beauty of that word. It does not define anything. It is not referring to that thing directly, because it is understood that that thing cannot be given a word. It is not mental, it is not descriptive, it is not imaginary, hence only a negative word applies to it. Because for us, a word is real only when it's a part of our imagination. The word tree exists because a tree is a part of our imagination. We can dream about trees. We can paint a tree. We can hold a tree. We can climb a tree. Because we are a part of that imaginary world, we have a relationship with this tree. The body has a relationship with this tree, hence the word tree. Ein Sof is because your body has no relationship to this thing. Your mind has no relationship to this thing. When your body is gone, when your mind is gone, when the world of imagination is gone, there is just Ein Sof. The problem is not existence. It is not the most difficult thing to describe. It's the simplest of things. It's just that it is slightly beyond description, because all descriptions are mental. What is description? It is describing something that you can experience. In the world of human language, description is simply an elaboration of something that our senses can grasp. If the senses cannot grasp, if the mind cannot see it, it is beyond description. That's about it. The ultimate nature of reality is beyond description, beyond words, simply because we are attached to a way of describing things using the mind. So the problem is not existential. Existentially, you are already what you're supposed to be. Existence is whatever it's supposed to be. Aliveness, consciousness, beingness, nowness. You can call it by any name. Ein Sof, Tao, Brahman. You cannot describe it. You cannot talk about it. You cannot think about it. Because of where you are. Because of what you are. What you have become. You cannot experience something outside of the mind the way you are. Everything has to be described through the mind. You could be swimming in an ocean of this ultimate reality. You could be breathing it. You could be eating it. You could be smelling it. You could be sleeping in it. You could be waking up in it. But you can be totally blind to it because it cannot be described. It is that simple. Imagine you are taken to this place, a new place for the first time. There are hundreds and thousands of things, but all new things, and you have not been introduced to these things using language. Now, what happens when you come back from that place? You run to someone and you want to tell them what all you saw. What will you tell them? There is no word, there is no language. You just say, just go there. Just get to that place. Don't ask me to describe it. It is beyond description. I cannot put it in words. I cannot talk about it. But I can show you the way. That's what a Buddha does. That's what a Lao Tzu does. They don't keep on defining and describing this nature of reality. They provide a path. They say this place is real. It is impossible to talk about it because it has nothing to do with the mind. But it's a magical place. It is nothingness. It is the ultimate. It is Brahman. Whatever you call it. God, infinity, reality. Just find a way to go there. Then you will know what I'm talking about. Your mind will be like, if you cannot even describe it, then how can you be sure that it exists? And how can you expect me to go on this journey, on this pilgrimage, searching for something that I cannot even express in words? This is the problem with the mind. It has to long for something that it cannot see, that it cannot experience. The problem is mental, not existential.